Hey guys, so we are heading into a very busy phase of the Strongman season. Next weekend is the Giants Live Strongman Classic happening in London, and we've got the strongest man on earth, the Deadlift World Championships, and lots of big contests on the horizon. And the athletes have been training hard and posting some big lifts. So this week we're taking a look at some of the best. I always find the build-up to competitions really interesting, watching the athletes that post up a lot of their videos. Some athletes keep things quite quiet. Yeah. You'll see athletes post videos but not put weights up. Mm-hmm. It's very interesting seeing that sort of psychology of some of the athletes.
A lot of mind games.
Lots of mind games. I mean, for a lot of them it is just content and they want people to see what they're doing and get their name out there. Others like to stay quiet.
Some people prefer to be an underdog, don't they? And they don't like going in with a load of hype surrounding them. Indeed,
but we've seen some incredible lifts over the last few weeks, so let's dive in and see what's been happening.
So one of the athletes that has been posting a lot is 2023's World's Strongest Man, Mitch Hooper. Now, he posted recently a 320 kilo squat for reps. 10 reps. 10 reps he did that for.
Yeah, his leg training is going very well. Pretty much sticking to the plan as well.
Oh,
an extra rep here or two, right. But I'm not too concerned with that. He is a little bit, I think, getting into some online war games with Lucas Hatton, who's also been posting some incredible squat videos that you're going to see on this list as well. But yeah, for the most part, he's training very hard and focused. But he is someone that loves to put stuff out there and build up the sport, build up his own brand, and he's always posting content for people to watch.
Yeah, so we've also seen from Mitch recently a 175 kilo log press. So 1 clean, 2 presses, strict press, yeah. Yes. So he's come under quite a lot of criticism for using sort of jerk style techniques for the log, which we should remind people is perfectly acceptable under strongman rules, but just proving that that shoulder power is there as well.
Well, we're always trying to work on everything. You know, you're always trying to bring your whole game up, and he's still jerking. He's still push pressing at certain times, and he's strict pressing as well, trying to cover every aspect, and then it's about utilising the most effective for competition, but he's always trying to get stronger, and right now he is looking the strongest he's ever been.
Good. And finally, and like I said, Mitch is one of the busiest, a 432 kilo raw deadlift. Raw with straps. Obviously, straps are going to be allowed in the competition.
Yeah, so when we say raw, we're talking about no suits.
No suit, no briefs as well, isn't it? For the strongest man on earth, where they're training for a max deadlift there.
Absolutely. So I mentioned him there. Lucas Hatton doing a 320 kilo squat for 11 reps and making it look superbly easy. He's posted a number of big squat videos recently. He is looking forward to the squat event at the Strongest Man on Earth, more known as like an overhead presser, but he is perfectly built for squats, and he's been looking exceptional in training. So you can see from this video, he is a big threat when it comes to the squat.
So someone who's been much quieter with their output right now, especially on Instagram, is Tom Stoltman. Now, I've been watching all of their recent videos. So their videos, it's kind of like home life, everyday stuff with training integrated into that. And I managed to catch a 180 kilo axle press from him, which is obviously in preparation for this weekend's competition.
It's going to be really interesting watching Tom getting back into competition. Yeah. It's always hard after the World's Strongest Man, after you win the World's Strongest Man, because you have so much media to deal with, so much other stuff. You're trying to use that title. So training becomes a little bit harder. And it's going to be interesting to see what kind of shape he is in when we get to the Strongman Classic next weekend. So next video we have is Graham Hicks lifting 431 kilos for 3 repetitions. Now, talking to him, this was supposed to only be 2. And I have to say, those first 2 absolutely flew. The 3rd rep was a little bit harder at lockout, and maybe showing that's where the weakest part for him is if we're talking about the 505. But he is in early phase of training for this. He's looking super strong. I think the most important thing for Hicksy, and for anyone going for these crazy numbers, to be quite honest, is you have to trust your plan and your process. There is so many risks that come with trying to lift these huge weights. even the slightest injury is going to impact your ability to hit that record. So I think as long as Hicksy stays focused, sticks to his plan, we could see a monumental lift come the deadlift world championships. He's looking super strong. The power off the floor is just insane. And looking at this video, the first 2 reps absolutely flew. I am being hypercritical here when we're talking about the 3rd rep, but I feel for someone to pull 505, they need to be able to go flat out and pull that weight for 6 repetitions. So he clearly has more in the tank. Did he have 6? Maybe not right now, but he also doesn't want to push to that limit as well. Every week he wants to be making, still early, he wants to be making these reps move well.
So another athlete who's been quite generous with sharing their training footage is Thor Bjornsson, whose next competition is also the strongest man on earth. He is training for a raw deadlift. So he recently posted 435 kilos without a suit. A couple of people in the comments there kind of showing their ignorance when it comes to how an athlete goes through these cycles and peaks.
Yeah, I mean, I try not to get too worked up with some of the comments that you see. It's interesting because everyone's got an opinion, myself included, and as the athletes, you really can't focus on what people like me or anyone else is saying. However, Thor is looking exceptional, I think, in terms of his training. You can't compare what he did competition day, where you're absolutely perfectly peaked, to, you know, in
over a month
still,
out.
yeah, he's still over a month out of prep for the Shore Classic. Now his goal is to win the deadlift of that competition, and he's pulling 435 kilos here super smoothly. And Thor isn't an aggressive, super fast lifter. No. You watch his warm-ups, they're actually quite slow compared to, say, a more explosive lifter like a Rauno Heinla or a Graham Hicks, who lift a lot more aggressively. Thor is looking superb on the deadlift. He looks like he's clearly got more in the tank, and he is very smart. Him and his team, very, very good at peaking at the right time. I think he's going to lift something massive. Well, my thought process is he's going to lift whatever he needs to lift to win.
Yeah.
And then will we see something even bigger when he can put a suit on later in the year? Who knows? But right now, Thor Bjornsson with this 435 kilo lift looking fantastic. Evan Singleton, another athlete that's posting a lot on Instagram right now, and he is training hard for the competitions he's got coming up. The next one being the Strongman Classic next weekend, and then he is off back to America for the strongest man on earth. He's looking confident across the board on all his lifts, but we can see this deadlift here on an axle looking very, very strong. This is clearly in prep for the Strongman Classic next weekend. One thing that helps Evan with an axle deadlift is his supreme aggressive power off the floor. I have criticised Evan's deadlift in the past. We've had a chat about it because his lockout is his weakness. But where he makes up for that is tremendous power off the floor, which on an axle is super important, because if you cannot break that weight off the floor, doesn't matter how strong your lockout is. I've seen some exceptional lifters who are very strong at lockout really struggle on axle because there is zero flex. I love watching Evan lift. It reminds, like, I criticize him because I like him and I want him to do well, and he actually reminds me of me.
Yeah.
I was very similar. If you go back and watch old videos of me, crazy, very powerful off the floor, much weaker at lockout, and you try to negate that weakness by being even more powerful off the floor.
Yeah.
But it's actually really useful on a deadlift like an axle deadlift, where that aggressive power off the floor gets the weight up, and then if you need to hitch it, you can.
Yeah. So next we've got Ragg. He is also competing this coming weekend at the Strongman Classic, but he's also doing the strongest man on earth for the first time this year. He recently posted a video of him doing 415 kilos on a deadlift for 2 repetitions.
And Matt's a lot quieter on social media. He doesn't post a huge amount, but when he does, everyone kind of takes notice. He did that 460, was it earlier this year?
Yeah, it's the beginning of the year.
And you don't see the build up to that. Like, I love that, like, Hicksy and you know, Mitch are putting things out, and we can kind of follow that progression. Matt, he just kind of suddenly posts these huge lifts, and you're like, damn, we forgot about Matt.
He's got the ability to surprise, hasn't he?
Yes, and his deadlift is phenomenal. He's looking very strong. You know, how strong, we'll see. Obviously, when athletes have multiple competitions coming up, it's hard to know, without knowing them and without talking to them, which ones they are the most focused on. Because there's like as a novice watching or a newbie to the sport, you'd just be thinking, oh yeah, they're just going to peak for every comp. That's impossible. You know, they'll plan out the year and look to be at their best at certain times. So it's not that they don't try in competition, but to be peaked and at your absolute best is very difficult. You can't maintain it for too long. So I would guess right now, most of the athletes are looking to peak for the strongest man on earth.
Probably, yeah.
So a couple of weeks ago in one of our live videos, we were talking about Oleksii Novikov, and we hadn't seen too much from him other than some very casual sort of off-season looking videos. However, this last week we've started to see a lot more seriousness from him. Posting here, he is doing a 220 kilo stone and making it look very, very comfortable. Clearly, the time he's had off has helped the bicep issue that he was suffering with. I want to see him back to his best. I love this guy. I think he's such a great athlete, and a fit, healthy Oleksii is an exciting addition to any strongman competition. It's good to see him lifting some big weights again.
And massive stones, we should point out.
Big old stones.
Big old stones. So next is Ivan Makarov, who's another athlete who's really focused on that 505 later this year at the Deadlift World Championships. He was recently in Dubai, and there at Strongman HQ, or Strong HQ, sorry, he lifted 460 kilos. The aim seemed to be 2 repetitions. The whole thing fell apart on rep number 2.
Yeah, he's such a powerful guy, you know. I don't know if any of you guys follow Ivan, but he's quite entertaining in his posts, and he's always kind of putting something interesting up. But it's good to know he is focused on the Deadlift World Championships again, because the thickness in this guy's back and the power, and he's been close a number of times now.
He's got it to the knees, hasn't he? A couple of times.
The lockout seems to be the hardest point for him.
And I think that's evident even on the 460, that the lockout is a little bit of a struggle. I know not every athlete does a full lockout in training.
They should. They should. In my opinion, they should. I know Eddie didn't, and you know he was an amazing deadlifter, but I feel you should try and lock out every single rep, particularly if that's where your weaker point of your lift is. 460 kilos, massive weight. Even has been there or thereabouts many, many times. I'll look forward to seeing some more deadlifts from him as we get closer and closer, because he is an exciting lifter to watch. So next up, we have another one of our athletes who is solely focused on the Deadlift World Championships. He is in early phases of his prep for that, due to having knee issues and some... Did he have surgery?
Yeah, he did, like late last year.
Yeah, so he's not been able to get into training as quick as possible. I'm actually surprised he is up to these type of weights already. This is an elevated 460 kilo deadlift. Now, this is a height that Rauno is very, very strong from. Yes. He's one of the best when it comes to lockout power. He always locks his deadlifts out. 460 kilos, I've seen him pull this type of weight much easier before, if I'm totally honest. However, it's a big weight, and we know how quickly he progresses on the deadlift. Yes. We're going to get to see him deadlift in person in a few weeks, so I'll have a real understanding of where he is then. But good to see him on the mend and looking strong.
And another person training for the Deadlift World Championships, Lucy Underdown, very recently lifted 300 kilos on an axle. 300 kilos on an axle is insane. So she holds the world record at 700 pounds, and that is standard height, normal bar.
Yeah, I mean, Lucy is phenomenal. She is right now in a clear level of her own when it comes to the deadlift. I cannot wait to see what she can pull. I don't think it's a matter of breaking the record. It's how far she breaks the record by. That's the real question. I don't know what the organisers are planning in terms of jumps, whether they're going to allow her to go for whatever she wants to go for, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Lucy pulling 340 kilos. No. She is just phenomenal when it comes to this lift.
And finally, we wanted to introduce a lift of the week segment to this video for someone who we feel really stands out as doing something quite remarkable in training. And I think this name is going to surprise a lot of people, because he has been injured, hasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, first thing, it's good to see the bicep is clearly getting stronger if you're doing these kind of lifts. So Tom actually failed this lift, but here is Big Brother Luke showing who's boss, cleaning a man that looks like, I can only describe he's in some bondage type gear.
It's quite erotic, isn't it?
I just hope that they let the guy go after this. But yeah, this is our lift of the week. Congratulations, Luke Stoltman. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this week's video. Do not forget, like, share and subscribe to the channel, and we'll catch you guys next time.